Boss, when you watch the UFC today, it's evolved so much and the technique has changed and the athleticism has changed and guys are coming up with new stuff and new types of styles that we didn't see in Pride. Are you constantly impressed by the evolution of fighting, or do you see it differently?
Yeah, no, I'm very impressed, to see things getting pulled. Sean O'Malley, the accuracy that he has, and the way he puts people down. I mean, the talent it's incredible. Now it's really a sport. Now actually everybody treats it like I was treating it all the way in the back. They were just doing weights, then they would do striking, then they would do wrestling, then they would do submissions. Nobody found out that the combination makes you tired. And that's why I was ahead of everybody at that moment, because I just based my strength and conditioning on that, what I was going to do. And it freaking worked, but now everybody is doing it. Now everybody is having nutritionists. They have the best food, the best, everything, everything is science. And then you see these athletes freaking perform. It's really amazing. I mean, I couldn't find Amanda Nunes right now. She will beat the crap out of me because that's how elite these fighters are nowadays.
Do you credit it all to specific fighters? Is it Dana White? Is it the fans? Is it just the continual grind to push this? I know you always thought it would be the biggest thing. I think we all did in the early days of MMA, but it was never assured it was going to happen. It obviously didn't happen in Japan. And who knows, it might not have happened in America if it wasn't for a few key players, maybe Ronda Rousey or Conor or Dana. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think Dana, I think we have to give him credit. If the Mount Rushmore, what I always talk about, he needs to be on it because he brought it to another level. And they put a lot of money in there, $40-50 million. They weren't making anything. And then thankfully they had the idea, hey, let's do the Ultimate Fighter. Let's show these fighters. Not only that, let's do an open bar in the house where they also can drink. So there's going to be some freaking animosity. And boom. I remember the very first show after the Ultimate Fighter, which I didn't watch the first season. And I went to a Joe Rogan stand-up piece that he did. And while I'm walking over, I see this guy, tattooed guy standing there, and there's like 50 people waiting in line to get his autograph. So is he like an artist or something? No, he's a fighter. I go, I don't know. He's from the Ultimate Fighter. And that's when I realized, oh, wow, they became gigantic now because this guy from the show that I didn't know had a line of people waiting. So, and then when Stephan Bonner and Forrest Griffin put that main event on, which was almost written by a movie script, it looked like. I mean, it was such a dogfight back and forth. Both they got. The winner was going to get a contract, but they gave him to both, of course, because an amazing fight. But that wrap-up, that really put the UFC on the map. And then the next show, that was it. There was like 300,000 pay-per-view buys. And from that moment on, it started getting up and up and up. Because in the beginning of the UFC in 93, it was, they had over 200,000 pay-per-view buys, the first show. It was gigantic. And the second one even surpassed it. But then all these politicians and the whole craziness that happened in New York, the guy that wouldn't allow it. And thankfully, that guy got booted because he was getting money from people or something. He was in the government. They threw him out, and immediately MMA was legal. I mean, a week later, it was legal. So we all knew that was the guy who was holding a grudge against the Fertitas. I think it was something to do with what is all the people work for him.
It was one of the unions, right? It was one of the food and beverage unions.
That was it. Yeah. And then you never let him off of that, and because it was a personal thing, he didn't want to give it to them. So once he left, that was it. Everything was okay with it. Because if you really break it down, it's safer than boxing, right? And once you start telling people that, but wait a minute, it's in a cage. You put animals in a cage. You put prisoners in a cage. Well, the cage is actually there to protect you, not to fall out. They showed the video of me fighting Frank Shamrock where we fly out of the ring.
Yeah.
They showed it at the Athletic Commission. This is why we want to prevent this. That's why we have the fence. Okay, so that's good. So why wouldn't it be legal? If you can do all the sports separated, if you put them together now, suddenly it's illegal. It makes absolutely no sense. And that was it. They said yes. And then when I came back, I talked about to the UFC, that's why the weight classes got established. Only 200 pounds and under, 200 pounds and over. I was actually going to be the first guy. I was trying to get 2 titles because I was 203. So for me to drop 3 pounds, That was I actually, by weigh-in, I was 198. And I couldn't fight for a title, they said. So they said, give me a moment. So my buddies were drinking water. So I took the water. So that was the way. And I drank all the waters. I drank way too much because I was 203. I drank a lot of water. But that's all. Otherwise, it would have been a title fight. So then I said, okay, once I have this title, I will drop 3 pounds, go to, I believe they called it middleweight. It was middleweight and heavyweight, not light heavy, but middleweight and heavyweight. And I'm going to face Frank Shamrock. And then Frank found out that I came there. Oh, no, Frank retired. Then Tito was going to be the next in line. So I was going to face Tito. Then Frank came back and he says, no. I was the champion. I will face Tito. And then after I face Tito and I beat him, I'm going to fight Bas. So we'll go, okay, let's do it. And then he beat Tito, but then he retired. So unfortunately, that fight never happened. And since I was so injured already, I could have done that for another 8 weeks. The pain, go through all the hell. To get that title and then retire. But that's what I said, then I'm going to stop. I've won too many fights in a row. It's very hard to get that fire back. The UFC made already a big difference for me because it's a new venue, new thing, and that sparked it again, but the injuries were too much.
Was it hard to give up fighting? Very
hard. Yeah. And I thought it was a curse. And now I realized it's all a blessing, right? Otherwise I wouldn't have had my 22 fight unbeaten streak. Yeah, I would have kept on fighting. And you see many of these guys keep on fighting, but you're going to lose, dude, because you're fighting guys half your age who started training when they were 5 years old. They can work out 5 times a day, 5 times a week, full power. You can't anymore. You really got to make sure that you gradually get in there 3 times a week. You can really push it hard, but not more, because otherwise the body simply doesn't sustain it anymore. So, it was hard at that moment. But now I realized I'm very happy because it left me with a really great record.
Right. Very few fighters walk away with a win or a winning streak. Very few, because they can't get that rush anywhere else in their lives. And so they want to come back for that, right?
Yeah, and that's a good thing that you said, because the rush, so then you start chasing the rush when you don't fight anymore. And guess what it becomes? It's drugs and alcohol, right? And that's what happened to me. You see, so then you have to start kicking that again. Now you got to fight with that crap, So it's you find these replacement things that you try to mimic because, listen, knock somebody out in front of 50,000 people going crazy. It's kind of addicting, It's a really good feeling to do, or submit somebody, especially with something that you worked on and it worked out in the fight, And suddenly that's gone. Well, you still want your high. That's why Pat Miletich, I always say this, he didn't go drinking and drugs. He starts chasing tornadoes. That's his new high to get his adrenaline up now.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.